going to switch to English for the next segment because, sure, the cloud has great advantages, especially when it comes to being more agile and reducing costs. However, due to data security and regulations, core data must be stored in local data centers, of course. So how to build enterprise data centers better? We have three amazing guests upcoming here. Eddie Diba is a senior research analyst for IDC, Bill Raftery, senior storage expert at Future Storage, and Ludovic Nicolo, solution manager at Huawei. Grab a seat and grab a mic as we're going to dive in. And maybe first, a little warm-up here. Eddie, let me turn to you first because, of course, you're definitely one of our global experts at IDC when it comes to better understanding where the market's heading to. And actually, what's new on this data center market? What should we focus on?
Thank you, Marjorie. Hi, everyone. To answer your question, I would like to give you some IDC insights, right, about what's going on. The worldwide enterprise digital transformation spending will increase by a compound annual growth of 16% between 2020 and 2024. So this means that companies are investing in digital transformation. This digital transformation also drives a massive growth rate. We have another insight which says that the global data sphere, which is the data created and replicated all over the world, will go from 50 zettabytes in 2020 to 160 zettabytes by 2025. So this multiplied by 3. And this data will be both structured and unstructured data. So we can see that there is a massive, important need for data. And what it means is that data is becoming the core resources of the digital economy. And it plays a key role in the enterprise, in businesses development, right? And in order to do that, they need to build or to adapt a data-driven culture and to support data management, data as a service, and data analytics to better extract value from all this data in order to develop new products and services, to improve operational efficiencies, and so on. So this answers the first part of your question. Data center is important because the volume of data is growing really fast. That being said, once you store data, you also want to access it and to access fast. And you want your data that is stored to be stored securely. We predict at IDC that by 2025, 80% of enterprise class storage capabilities will be enterprise class storage. Okay. And most of it is core storage, not edge storage or endpoint storage. So we can see that if you take performance into account, reliability, and if you wrap it up with sustainability, which also is becoming a huge key competitive factor, that's the main topics that we should be talking about today.
And we'll definitely dive into being more green in a few seconds from now. But Bill, no offense here, but all due respect, you're definitely a veteran when it comes to the storage industry, right? So how much do you know about Huawei storage, and what are the differences, though, between Huawei and IMC, who you've been working for a long time?
Yes, yes. Thank you, Marjorie. It's great to be here today. Great to join this conference. It's funny, if you take a look, a lot of people ask me, okay, you spent 28 years at EMC, why now Huawei? And I'll tell you, there's a lot of reasons. If you haven't looked at the Huawei storage portfolio, it's #1 in the industry. I've had the top distinguished engineers that I've worked with for many years look at this portfolio, and they're astonished with the innovation. And there's some reasons for that. #1, Huawei has over 4,000 storage engineers. #2, they have 13 storage R&D centers around the world. They also are now #3 in storage globally. They are the only storage company that's growing today and grew in 2020. They outinvest EMC 2-1. So we also own 5 of the top 10 performance benchmarks in the industry. We are 2x performance, and we'll talk about green in a little bit, but if you have not looked at the Huawei storage portfolio, you need to. It's tremendous.
There you go. Ludovic, you've been with Huawei for the past 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, but it's definitely a perfect position to actually try to understand and see evolving the entire storage solution. So what's your take on this?
Thanks, Marjorie. Hello, everyone. To be honest, our storage solutions are amazing. Simple to use, simple to manage, easy to scale. Every year we increase by 50% our storage development in France. We have more and more customers, more and more partners, and everybody says our solution in entry level, mid-market, and high-end industry have all the features for the enterprise. Active-active symmetric, double write, PCA in French, and also immutability for snapshot to protect data against ransomware. In fact, we already have this feature in 2018. Our competitor put in highlight this new feature now when the disaster is already done. And we continue to increase our new customer. For example, in the Cake 40, we have SNCF, PSC, La Poste, Edouard Leclerc, and so on. And in the afternoon, we will have the flavor of the Huawei, the CTIA CTO, who will discuss about our solution. And already 1 year ago, he decided to put full flash for storage production, of course, and also for backup.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be one of the major sessions right after this debate panel here. So actually, Eddie, you were just giving us a glimpse at the fact that data centers, of course, have to go green. Their energy consumption has exceeded 2% of global total energy consumption. So how do you think the energy consumption of data centers is going in the context of the peak carbon, of course, but also going more and more carbon neutral?
If we go back to the Paris Agreement, companies want to meet, countries wants to meet those Paris Agreement requirements. France, for example, passed a bill, the carbon neutrality bill in November 2019, in order to reach carbon neutrality by 2050. China as well is working towards this way. China plans to hit peak CO2 by 2030 and plans to reach carbon neutrality by 2060. So we can see that all over the world, countries are working to meet those requirements. So now, how data center fits in those strategies, right? Because like I mentioned to you earlier, the data space is growing. There is a need for capacities, for storage capacity. But at the same time, data center is a pillar of the digital economy. But at the same time, data centers are also consuming more and more energy. The EU believes that by 2030, data center will consume 28% plus in addition of energy by what they're doing today. There is a more alarming numbers that, according to the OECD, which is the Organization for Economic and Cooperation Development, believes that by 2030 as well, data center will consume a fifth of the global power supply. That's huge.
That's massive.
So now that being said, what does that mean? So there is a need for data centers to be more sustainable, and this goes through capacity, maybe a lower footprint, and this is how the EU plans to ask all European data centers to reach carbon neutrality by 2030.
Yeah, not mentioning the fact that COP26 is definitely opening this weekend in Edinburgh, if I'm not mistaken. So, Bill, do you want to jump in a quick sec?
Yeah, I mean, green is critically important, and it actually has been for a long time. You know, at AMC, we always looked at power consumption, cooling, as we measured, you know, floor space, things like that. But if you take a look, I look at, and then again, the U.S. is committed to being emission-free by 2040. And our number one challenge of doing that is energy. Because if we convert all of our cars to electric, the data consumption that Eddie's talking about is going to consume more and more power. So we've got to get more and more efficient. So if you take a look, I call them the waves of information. And this next explosion is about to come. If you think about, and I've been doing this a long time, you can tell I'm old with my gray hair. But anyway, if you look, it started with the mainframe back in the 70s with IBM. That was the first wave of the explosion of information. The second wave was distributed environments with companies like HP, where they went out and within retail stores, they created, IT infrastructure. The third wave was the internet. If I look today, everything in the US is on demand. My children do everything on demand. Everything in our homes is on demand. Everything is consuming more and more data. There's new applications every day. Well, guess what the next wave is? 5G. Huawei's leading in 5G. So the next wave of new applications is going to be automated cars. It's going to be healthcare. You're going to be able to access healthcare anywhere in the world and be able to access your patient records. The things that are going to happen, all these new applications, are going to consume large amounts of data. You saw Huawei's CEO today talk about intelligent cities, safe cities. This is all coming. That's all going to be video and streaming. That all consumes large amounts of data. So this is the next wave of information that's coming, and green, and Huawei is completely focused on it within their storage portfolio is critically important with this massive growth of 30 zettabytes to 160 zettabytes in the next 6 years.
So let's turn to the other gray-haired expert at the table here, Ludovic, of course. Does Huawei have any solutions, I guess they do actually, to reduce energy consumption and also at the very same time increase capacity?
Yes, indeed. In fact, with a new form factor, new technology, with our R&D, we have developed a new palm-sized disk. It's quite amazing. You can have 36 disks in 2U. With compression, deduplication, we can store, for example, 1 petabyte in 2U. Of course, it's the first step for green IT. By the way, we can divide by 5 the footprint for traditional storage to our full flash NVMe storage. It's first things. After that, we have also developed green IT for power consumption. It's by default in our storage products.
So, I mean, you haven't mentioned a name of one solution, which is called, I guess, Ocean Store Pacific.
Yes,
and
right.
from what I understand, while using Ocean Store Pacific, you can actually replace 3 solutions at one.
Yes, of course, you're right. In fact, in the legacy traditional storage architecture, you have one appliance, one storage for block, one storage for NAS, another one for S3 or Hadoop file system. In fact, we have launched 3 months ago our Pacific distributed multi-protocol storage platform. It's quite amazing. You can have 120 disks in 5U. 120 disks in 5U with a mechanical disk and HDD, and also, of course, NVMe disk. We can increase performance and provide for the company, for the enterprise, all the protocol needs by the actuality, not by the customers. And we can also share this storage, and no needs to have MPLS or dedicated VPN to access to the storage, because you can use FTTH to access with S3 protocol, for example. We have all the protocol in one box. And another point, very technical, so sorry, we have a dedicated licenses. The name, I don't remember the name. It's
They will. Nope. Okay.
it will,
We'll definitely dive into it.
And we can access the data with all the protocol. You are not. It's not mandatory to copy cut
Multi-protocol. Multi-protocol.
Not. It's a specific license. Sorry, I don't remember the name. Interworking protocol.
Interworking protocol.
It's a very, very important feature in our Pacific storage.
Wonderful. Let's move on real quick, though, to the very second challenge. It's a major challenge, actually, when it comes to being in such a competitive market. I'm glad Saving Energy is definitely part of what you guys offers, but there are so many other challenges when it comes to better data construction, such as performance, isn't it, Eddie?
Yes, absolutely. And today we'll define performance with two main criteria, with real-time and accuracy. First, let's talk about real-time. For example, today, enterprises, services, they heavily require real-time data response. Bill already mentioned some examples with health, how you need, you'll be able to get an operation from one point of the world to another one in the world. He also mentioned autonomous vehicle. You can also talk about high-frequency trading, billing in telecommunications. So there is that huge need of real-time data response in order to be efficient. Real-time allows companies to remain competitive. According to IDC, real-time data share will go from 19% in 2019 to 24% in 2024. So there's that huge growth. The second point is accuracy, because you might be able to give a response fast. You have to be accurate, right? So to do that, you have to rely on massive data to be able to extract the right information, the right insight to provide at the right time. And to do that, companies rely on artificial intelligence and IoT. So when you combine those two, real-time data response and accuracy, you see how important it is to be able to have systems that are going to be able to provide low latency and high IOPS.
And I definitely think that Huawei has made some effort to improve storage performance, isn't it, Ludovic?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. To be honest, we're leading the performance in the market. In our best configuration, we can achieve 21 million IOPS. Okay. It's quite urgent, and with very, very low latency, 0.05 millisecond latency. It's quite incredible how we can achieve this kind of performance. In fact, by default, by design, our product, of course, can scale up. We can add more and more disk, but we can also scale out. And we can combine 32 controllers together. And that's why we can achieve very, very large performance. And we can also, we are ahead of the market for the NAS. For example, we are 30% better ahead than the market for performance in this case. Another point, as you know, maybe it's difficult to be good or to be well in network. There are some few companies well in network, and there is also some few well company in storage. But Huawei is the first company, the only one company who is well in network and storage is Huawei. And in this way, we have developed with our R&D a new protocol. NOF is Network over Fabric. It's a very famous protocol for RDMA over Converged Ethernet. And now it's a useful protocol. And now we have simplified with NOF Plus protocol. NOF Plus is a plug-and-play solution that is not mandatory to configure data center bridging, and it's a very, very slow latency, and also very, very fast convergence. And in that way, you can also definitively forget the fiber channel protocol and switch or jump to the Ethernet protocol with our cloud engine. And of course, the bandwidth is very, very large, 25 gigabyte, 40 gigabyte, 100 gigabyte, and we're talking also about 800 gigabyte per port. It's quite crazy, but it's a reality.
Crazy is definitely a reality today. So let's jump real quick to reliability, because this is definitely the third major challenge that we all face, or actually data center construction face. And it all starts with protecting data, right, Eddie? Cyber threats, there are also natural risk. How do we protect data?
Absolutely. So really quickly, basically, when you have something that has a lot of value and now it's data, right? You don't want to break it, you don't want to lose it, and you don't want anyone to steal it from you. We can mention very quickly, you want to protect your data from disaster recovery, you want to protect your data from any kind of disaster. We can remember that a couple of months ago, that one of OVH data center burned, and that led to multiple websites being down. Another example, and that's something that's very important very quickly, is that cyber threats now are really going crazy, especially ransomware. And that's what I mean when I say that you don't want anyone to steal your data. You have to be able to protect your data, since no cybersecurity solution is 100% secure. That's why we have still big companies from any kind of verticals being victims from ransomware. So once you know that you have to protect your data, and you want to protect your data considering 3 key points. You want to make sure that the data you are protecting are immutable, which means that the data you have to reuse to go back to production are not cryptolocked or are not compromised. Second of all, you want to make sure that your backup system works, or if it doesn't work now, you can put it back in function really quickly. And finally, the third key element is that you want to make sure that you can restore your data really, really quick, because one day out of business can cost you a lot of money. To do that, you have to use heavy parallelism and automation. So this is why reliability is very, very important today.
Bill, how can we protect data better?
Availability and reliability is everything. No data loss, access to data 24/7 by 365. And the Huawei products have 6 nines of availability for a few reasons. One, their active-active architecture is fully developed by them. It uses all flash NVMe SSDs. And if you take a look at Dell EMC, they need to interject an appliance, being Recover Point that was an acquisition. The active-active solution from Huawei is second to none. The second piece is they have multi-controller architecture with nobody else has, which means that you can fail over 3 times and have 2 controllers fail and still lose no data. None of our competitors can do that, none whatsoever. So again, this is another reason for you to look at Huawei storage. But then, more importantly, what we're doing for data protection now is something that no one has even thought about. It's F2F2X. It's a new term that we're using, and it's flash to everything. So while we're using flash for all our critical applications for performance, why aren't we using it for everything else? Why aren't we using it for backup? Why aren't we using it for disaster recovery? It's going to increase our performance. It's going to increase your backups. It's going to increase your restores. It's green. It's going to save you a lot of energy, and it's going to save you a lot of time and money. These are the things that Huawei's delivering that no one else is with that investment in R&D that I talked about earlier. So again, if you have not looked at this portfolio, you're doing yourself a disservice, because you are going to save money. We'll come in, we'll help you with data consolidation, and I'll tell you, the portfolio is second to none, which has been fully developed by Huawei and supported.
Well, actually, if flash to everything can also help me save time on this stage, that would be wonderful, but I'm not sure he can do that. Actually, Ludovic, can you dive in? Because I think it's very specific out there.
Yes, as Bill mentioned, flash to Higgs to everything is the key. We are very proud to launch Ocean Protect. Ocean Protect X8000 and X9000. It's definitively amazing. We already find the backup, because for the customers, the main issue are the same. No money for the backup storage. Of course, money for the backup for the production storage. But when we increase the production storage, in fact, our customer never put more than 10% in the backup storage. And in fact, it's not equal. And after that, every customer wants to reduce the backup windows. This is the key. Nobody wants to have, during the production hour, the backup in background. Nobody wants that. And of course, with the CryptoLocker, with the new attack, the goal is not the same. Lots of customers want to have instant recovery technology. They want to start all virtual machine, all business, all workload from the storage array. And we are here with the best solution for the market. We can, as Bill mentioned, we have multi-controller architecture, and full flash architecture. And we also are totally open with the ecosystem. Ecosystem in the backup is the key. Of course, we're working with Commvault, Vim, and all other vendors. And we have, in 6 months, we are also a new feature which will be launched is the deduplication and completions at the source level. It will be definitively change the backup destination, the backup storage for long time.
And we'll definitely learn more about new product launch in a few seconds from now. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for this update on how to build greener, more reliable, and of course, more performant data centers. Thank you very much. You are released from duty on the stage.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.